So what is your number two on your list?
Yeah, what we also see a lot is, we already talked about adoption and change, lack of, but what we also see within the business functions, there's a lack of alignment. I mean, the field service vice president or whatever he's called may have a dream on what he wants to realize with his business, but maybe the CFO has a totally different agenda. They want maybe to sell the company where that has it's different interests. And that is not always very well aligned, having impact on each project, whether it's a field service project or something else.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting, it goes back to, I would say, the original alignment on vision and strategy and the roadmap. What does at least the key stakeholders from the top management, do they have a clear aligned plan? Is it part of the bigger corporate vision and strategy, what you're trying to do? I think my number three, if I may start with that, is understanding what is best practice or what are the service industry standards. Usually helps a lot. So if I then directly come with the solution for that, is obviously, companies shouldn't start from scratch and maybe think less about how unique they are. 25 years ago, the IT industry, I think, was the first one that was leading the change in terms of transforming from a product-driven business to a service-driven business. Yeah. A lot of things were invented there, and they went to the different industries. Medical equipment, printing industry, and you see every time new industries kind of adopting these established.
I think the technology helped significantly. The internet, for instance, is one of the platforms which make things possible.
What are the reasons for the people in the organization to really sort of go along with that sometimes pretty dramatic change?
Yeah.
That would be the starting point. And as you say, that maybe the second step would be aligning on how would the business model look like. So understanding where do you come from, the as is, let's say, and how would that to-be model look like. I would say that's a very important step. And I always would love to have the IT teams that eventually have to make construct it, build it, already involved in that phase. Yeah. Where you all agree, and from the IT perspective, you very often can say, oh yeah, if you want that, that's possible, standard out-of-the-box functionality. Or sometimes, and that's a challenge maybe, I know it's a challenge for a lot of IT people, to say, hey, yeah, we could probably do that, but that may require a lot of building, coding. It's a risk.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and the same is happening in our project sometimes. I mean, I talked about these two phases. So before you start to realize and achieve what you want, there might be team changes also on our side. And then it's a matter of transferring, the knowledge. And therefore, I think one of the it's not magic. It's one of the things to address that and avoid that is measure. Continuously. When you start, you have to measure what is the value, how do you define the value, and then in the project you have to measure continuously, are we still on the same page, do we realize, do we realize together, do we measure the success? Quantify it.
At several levels, financially, customer experience, people experience, the important organizational changes, there's so many things that need constant measuring. I totally agree with that. That's along the whole sort of program management side.
And one of the things, I mean, we already talked about this before, maybe, but as you said, like this French example, then you end your project because of reasons, maybe financially or whatever, you are dismissed of, let's say, your project. You talked about this 7 years project where the company had to do it all over again.
Yeah, that was
if they would have, if your folks would have stayed in the project in the implementation, I'm sure we could have avoided.
Yeah, and I think there is a role for monitoring of the sort of what happens IT-wise. So in an agile development method, for example, you have all the different disciplines around the table, and there should be somebody, I would say, guarding that design.
Yeah.
Like, is it going to achieve what we agreed it should achieve from a business perspective?
Yeah.
And of course, you run into all the realities, the dependencies in terms of IT. So sometimes that vision, that design has to be watered down a little bit, but it shouldn't completely change. Yeah? That's and keeping the speed in terms of quick sprints, quick results, testing, and then getting the feedback. Rolling something out, doing a pilot, getting the feedback and improving it. Yeah. I think that's also because you can...
Yeah, you're now describing a little bit the agile approach versus the waterfall approach, or a combination of the two. I must say over the years, we all have always started with waterfall, and agile is now more adopted. The ideal combination for that is the mix of the two. Make sure you build in agile in a waterfall kind of concept. Especially because service businesses are very complex. You know it better than I do even. The whole logistics flow, the people flow, the planning of it, the financial flow. It's a rather complex thing we talk about.
And it keeps on going. So the end of a project, of a transformation, I would say it's never very clear. Exactly. And you have to keep on evolving, keep on improving and adopting. Yeah. That's
true. Continuous improvement.
Yeah, I think that's important for companies. So the continuous updates from the software, they have to decide what to do with. But think about continuous new services that you have to develop and launch. Think about new best practices. Think about improvements in customer experience. New skills that you want to roll out. So it is sort of continuously evolving. So maybe with that...
don't forget the people.
Of course.
Attention to the people.
And the attention to the people.
So key.
On that I would say that is sort of good project management. Yeah. The choice of the people, the choice of the stakeholders that you involve, their qualities, obviously, but that's sort of 101. Yeah.
Continuous learning as well.
So maybe with this we have some sort of formula for success.
I think so.
Good. Well, thanks a lot, Erik.
Look forward to the next project.
All right. Thank you a lot.
Thank you too.